Hmm. Hello and welcome back to the Dapper D's. I'm Dippy.
I'm Dadley.
I'm Dono, but I'm firmly known as the D in the O in the N to the other O, but I don't know how to rap, so I'm just Dono.
And welcome back to the Dapper D's, the only show that heard you like shows. So we put a show in your show so that you can enjoy the show while you enjoy the show. And welcome to a little pilot run of a show that I have wanted to do for over 3 years now, but have never had time or people or a concept or a platform to do it. And so today I present to you with my friends from the Dapper D's, Testing Perfection. This is a format that basically is summarized as such. There are many different review aggregators, review sources, review sites, or people on the internet who are credible, reliable sources of music, film, book review. And they are very stingy about handing out perfect scores. So when they do, are they doing it correctly? Are they picking the right things that are perfect? In many cases, perfection is gauged by a rating system: 1 to 5 stars, 0 to 10, 0 to 10, 0 to 100, 100%, or otherwise. This show takes a look at everything that has a perfect score and picks at it, removes elements, or not removes elements, picks apart elements, analyzes them, and determines whether or not they truly are perfect. Joining me today is Dadley J. Jenkins.
I just introduced myself.
And Dono the DM.
You know, the D to the O to the N to the O.
And the D to the O to the N to the O.
God, see, they do it so much better than I do. I can't rap.
Unlike the subject of today's episode, Kid Seagos, a self-titled album, a self-titled project from 2018. Before we jump into the episode itself of Testing Perfection, we need to give out a couple of little shouts and give thanks to a couple of our partners. First and foremost,
Dadley, will you please?
Or Dadley?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Okay.
So, longtime supporter of the Dapper D's is W.GG. They are an energy supplement. It is a powder you put into your water that gives you a little caffeine boost without giving you the caffeine drawbacks, that sleepiness, the tiredness, the grogginess that comes with a caffeine crash. They are a phenomenal supplement. Dono uses them as a pre-workout to get those fucking muscles pumped. I'm not as loud as Dono. But yeah, W.GG, really good energy. What?
The hype man for this one.
W.GG, what?
What?
So, if you're curious about trying W.GG for yourself, you can go to W.GG. That's the name of the website. It's easy enough, and use code ANIPOD, ANIPOD, to get 15% off your first order. If you're looking at all their flavors and you're like, I don't know where to start, they have a starter pack. Comes with a shaker, 3 starter flavors that I don't remember which ones off the top of my head, but it comes to like $14 after you use our discount
You
code.
can set it to random.
Oh, you can set it to random. You know what? Decision fatigue is real.
Yeah.
Let them take that away for you.
Yeah.
Try W.GG code ANIPOD to get 15% off your first and any other order. Yeah, thanks, Dubby. I don't think we have anybody else.
I'll put it on as background music for the stream, but I won't share my audio with you guys while I do this. But thank you also to Stream Beats by Harris Heller, the #1 free library of DMCA free music for streams and YouTubers. That was a good timing for the drop, but you didn't hear the drop, so I'll turn it down low enough that it's not distracting to myself as I talk about this album. But you can go to streambeats.com and download any track of his for your use and your personal use in your streams and your other projects and YouTube videos. Or you can listen to him on Spotify, and if you have Spotify Premium, it's ad-free to listen and put it on in the background for all of your favorite activities online for just a little bit of background music. So you can go to streambeats.com and download it, or check him out on Spotify at Streambeats by Harris Heller. Thank you to being the background music to our project today. But to continue, first and foremost, subscribe to the channel if you're feeling generous. Give us a Prime sub. It gives us the money, and it gives you the ad-free experience for free if you have an Amazon Prime account. Go over to the YouTube to check out all the VODs and give us a sub over there. Give us a follow here if you want to keep up with our live streams. Give us a follow on Instagram if you want to keep up with when we go live and some dank memes from our channel creator Dono down there. Also, check out the link tree in the description of the stream and the description of the video to see all kinds of other projects and websites that you can find your favorite Anipod stuff on. No Crossroads tomorrow, correct?
No.
No Crossroads tomorrow, but Inquisition this Friday. So
Yes.
Inquisition this Friday. Next Monday will be another Dapper D's, and that Dapper D's will be the
Secret episode.
A secret episode, yes. There's going to be a secret twist to a format that we have tried before, but that'll be pretty fun. So even I don't know what that's about. And then next Tuesday will be another exciting episode of Crossroads. Dadley, you missed some shit on the last episode of Crossroads.
Yes, I did.
We have to do like a little one-on-one.
Oh,
session
I need to
when
do
we're
a
done.
one-on-one session with you, Dadley.
In fact, we're
Really?
all three here.
Yeah.
We're all three here. We need to do a little follow-up to last week's Crossroads while you're here, if you have a little bit of time after the episode.
Yeah, I don't have work tomorrow because of election day. I don't care who you're voting for. Go vote. It's your American right. It's important.
Same here.
Go
I don't
vote.
care who you're voting for.
Fucking vote, you bitch. Sorry.
If you don't know, you know what? Fuck it. Here's my tangent. If you don't know if you're registered to vote, there's still time. You can register. Vote.org. At vote.org, you can check if you're registered to vote. You can also see a sample of your ballot so you know what you're going to go in and see.
Oh,
go
I didn't know
fucking
you could see,
vote.
I didn't know you could see a sample ballot on vote.org. I saw
you can.
You find your local voting, find out where your local voting is and go do it. It's your right.
Go do it.
It's your right. No matter how you feel about where the country is right now, make yourself heard by going and actually fucking doing it. Like,
yeah.
I already took care. I early voted, so I'm already good. I don't have to worry about anything tomorrow, and I don't have work tomorrow either. That might be why McAllister's didn't give me anything tomorrow. I didn't think about that. Huh.
You can call them. Just be like, I'm available.
Yeah. Well, no, like, McAllister's might not have given anybody anything. They might actually be closed for Election Day. I don't know.
I don't know.
One way or the other.
But yes.
Anyway.
Go vote.
Also, if anybody is working...
Oh, God.
Here's a little thing. If anybody is working on voting day, you have to, like, your work legally has to allow you time to go vote.
Yes.
So you can go, like, in the middle of your shift, you just be like, hey, I'm going to go vote. I'll be back in an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
Fucking go. That's a legal fucking right. They can't take that away from you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. Okay, tangent
right, Dippy.
over. So, I have just some
What in the
chill
Wordle
background
5?
music, but what in the Wordle 5? Let's go. Starting off with the Wordle of the
All right,
day.
I'm out.
Oh, and by the way, I didn't want to make it about me for this episode. This is an episode I have wanted to try, and now I am doing it because yesterday was officially my 26th birthday. And
fucking old. Okay.
So fucking weirded out by that sometimes. Ugh. But
wait till you're
closer to
30.
30 than 20.
yeah, no, I'm not excited for that. But now let's just hop right into testing perfection.
Yes.
So, before the episode began today, me and my guests here, or my guests and I, have taken a listen to two things.
Fucking English.
My guests and I have taken a listen to two things. Number one, the 2018 self-titled project, Kids See Ghost, a rap, fusion, rock, multi-genre bending short EP.
It's a self-titled album.
Self-titled album. Collaboration.
Yeah.
A collaboration between two prolific rap artists of our generation, Kanye West and Kid Cudi. And the other thing that we have listened to is the review that claims that this album is quote-unquote perfect, or at least within their system, paraphrasing, perfect.
Yes.
That being Anthony Fantano with The Needle Drop. Now, we're going to give a little bit of context, and the order of the episode is going to go something like this. We're going to give our thoughts on Kids See Ghosts. We're going to review what Anthony Fantano said about Kids See Ghosts, why he thinks it's perfect, and why we agree or disagree. And any surrounding context in a little subsection I like to call past, present, future. what came before it, what happened when it was made, and what came after it that may affect its result. And by the end of the show, by the end of our lively discussion today, we will determine whether or not this album, Kids See Ghosts by Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Kids See Ghosts, deserves to be a 10 out of 10 according to Anthony Fantano. We will stick with the review scale and system that is used to claim that something is perfect. And in this episode, that will be a scale of 10. So without any further dip and Darren do, we've all listened to Kids See Ghosts. What did we think about it? Starting with Dono, you listened to it not too long ago.
Okay.
We have a little bit of a range of our ideology in doing this episode as well. I don't have anything written down, but I have my mental notes. Dadley has a lot written down.
I have
a
like
lot of
4
physical
paragraphs.
notes. And a lot of physical notes. And Dono is a great improv master.
It's one thing I'm good at.
And he's good at, but he's also good at like vibes. So, okay. Donna, what were the general vibes and feelings that you got while you were listening to this project, Kids See Ghosts?
So, I've not heard this album very often. You've talked about this a couple times throughout a couple different years. Mm-hmm. I will say that this is the first time that I've truly listened to it all the way through. The first time I listened to it, I remember like it was a couple years ago. I was like at work, and I was in a completely different like vibe setting for like music, and I was just kind of like, I don't want to listen to this shit. Turn it off. So, and I was like, to be honest, that's probably a bit harsh for the situation.
Well, no, it's a completely honest look at, you know, in certain contexts, this album is not meant to be enjoyed. In some contexts, such as a working environment.
The moment so at the time I was a janitor and I listened to everything over a speaker. So like during the beginning, so the first time that it uses the N-word, I was just like, okay.
I gotta shut that off. Care here. I gotta keep my duty of care here.
Like, I don't know if anybody's here, but no. Okay. But being that I was able to like listen, it's definitely an album meant to be listened to in headphones. Absolutely. It gives you the being able to have it like directly inputted into your ears. It gives a much like it activates the emotional and like vibrant kind ofness of the music a lot better. Like you do not have to have the crispest, most expensive headphones of all. These ones that I use to listen to, fucking $15, whatever. But it was able to get the point across of just how good it is through that. And in my experience, there are several different ways that you need to listen to music. One, you need to listen to it with friends. You need to listen to it on its own, and you should listen to it through a speaker. So like headphones, speakers, and then with friends. Because if the energy of the music is really good over a speaker, then that's one checked off. If it's really good in front of like friends and everybody can like get into the same vibe together, that makes a memory and that solidifies it as something good. And then you being able to enjoy it on its own means that it becomes connected to you. In this, I've listened to it on my own. I plan on also going probably to listen to this again when I go work out later today and really get into a vibe because it is enjoyable. It is fun. There are some songs that hit me harder than others, which I'm currently trying to debate whether or not that means that it's a 10 out of 10 if the energy of certain songs hit me better than the other ones do.
Yeah.
I will say that it is enjoyable. If I was fucking blitzed out of my goddamn mind on this would be probably one of the best things to listen to if I wanted to be in a really fucking good ass mood and feel some good vibes and like just hype myself up and feel good. Especially if it was like, let's say Smoke Circle, I'd say we'd go full rotation for the entirety of it and really just enjoy the fucking thing. Okay?
Totally fair.
But I am not quite to the point where I feel like it is the full from where it is enjoyable. It is nice. It's a new thing for me to be able to enjoy. Yeah, I will see how it feels later on, but for right now, it has me. It's interesting. My two favorite tracks are "Feel Alive" and "Fourth Dimension" off of it. Now, "Fourth
Feel the
Dimension"
Love,
because "Feel the Love." Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. "Feel the Love" and "Fourth Dimension." "Fourth Dimension" because I really like it when songs start out with like a weird track at the beginning of it and then drops into it and then meshes with it throughout the song, and it just kind of like fucking scratched a bit, and the rap on it fine, like actually really good. Part when I first started listening to it, I was just like, where the fuck is Kanye in this thing? And then it suddenly, oh, there he is, fucking making gun noises. And then once I think Fourth Dimension was where I actually ended up hearing Kanye really do his shit of rapping and just be like, oh yeah, this definitely meshes really well, because it started to feel like, oh, okay, this feels like a Kid Cudi album at the beginning of it with a little bit of Kanye mixed in. And then as you get deeper into the album, you feel, oh shit, it is actually both of their shit together and whatnot. And it meshes really well. And I think they made a fun little like 20-30 minute journey for people to be able to go through.
Absolutely.
So.
Thank you, Vibe Master Donna. So,
Hey.
you have a lot of concrete written notes about this. Why don't you paraphrase a little bit of your notalage from your most recent listen of this album?
All right, smart noodle.
Given context,
I don't know how you want to go through this because
given context, first and foremost, given context before you like dive into actual notalage. You've said on quite a few occasions that this is one of your favorite albums. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just top 5 albums of all time. It's just good. There's no getting around it. I'm sure we'll get into this more. I am someone who's very much, I could separate artist from artist easily because the
artist
music
from
feels
the art.
Mine. Yeah.
You said artist from artist.
Yeah, I can separate Kanye and Kid Cudi. Yeah. I can separate those motherfuckers. No, no, it's the music feels mine more than anything. Yes, they are the ones that made it.
We will talk about that more in past, present, future about what has happened since it came out. But for now,
I love the album when it first dropped. I've listened to it ever since. It is probably top 5 albums of mine. I like experimental shit in general. I like stuff that come the end of the night, it feels like this isn't happening elsewhere. Which is very much the vibe of the album. It is a kind of sound you're not finding many other places. That's why, like, if you look up the actual, like, hey, what's the genre of this album? It's called experimental hip hop. It is this kind of anything goes vibe. I was gonna say, as for my notes, I don't know how you like. I don't have to read through them. I took notes on every song.
You don't have to read
give us the highlights.
No, but give us some highlights.
I'm gonna do just a quick synopsis of each song. Feel the Love to kick us off. It's the lyrics are simple and honestly kind of silly, and it doesn't take away from the fact of how hard it goes.
Say hello to special guest Dippy's mom.
Hi. Hey, Mom.
You're live, by the way.
Oh,
yeah,
I would hope so.
I would hope so.
And I'm also hungry, so I'm gonna go eat supper.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Have fun.
Bye. Yeah, have a good one.
Feel the Love is a great way to kick us right into the album. Fire, the string instrument through the song is haunting, and this is where you start really getting the vibe of the album. The album reminds me of a horror movie. Its ups and downs and the spookiness. It ends with an almost Midwest emo guitar, which is bonus points for me because that is my bread and butter. That's what I listen to the most. But it's also a phenomenal transition into Fourth Dimension. In a way that it's not a good transition. I will explain this. Leading into Fourth Dimension, it feels... Where did I have this written? Okay, so I had this written on a different song, but this transition feels like a mess in the sense of you hear those phrases of like a messy room or messy handwriting are signs of genius. When you look at a cluttered workspace and you're like, that person knows where everything is, that's how a lot of the transitions in this album feel to me. Cluttered on purpose.
That's an interesting note. I like that. Yeah, I get the same vibe off of it. Continue.
Yeah, as well. And then I've never
It
seen
felt-
any of Yeah, what's up?
To go off of that note, it felt bipolar, like very, like it went into, because it had the ups and downs and the extremes of it all. Like it had very,
Yeah.
like when it was low, it was low. When it was high, it was high. But it was like, like it was
very
like
fitting-
that guy that was at the party that knew exactly how to enter into the energy and follow through and get everybody else into it. So
Absolutely.
it's like the individual that, like, you're at a party and it's like, hey, this needs to go up. Let's fucking get there. And now, hey, now we're just gonna like chill down and we're all gonna enjoy that. We're gonna sit here together and we're gonna sit here comfortably. We're not gonna be awkward about it because we're all fucking here together. So,
Bipolar
sorry.
being a all too fitting word to describe one of not just the album but one of the artists on it. Please continue.
So all right, then we move down to Free. That whole example of clutter on purpose. That is the entirety of this song to me. Moving on to then Reborn. This album has a lot of dark tones, upsetting in a good way, like in the way like emo music is upsetting, metal music can be upsetting, like upsetting guitars and rhythms, and their Reborn feels like the weight is getting lifted. This album is a lot of putting pressure on you, and Reborn is the release of that pressure, and I love it so much. The title track, Kids See Ghosts, it's good. It's actually one of my least favorite on the album, but it still slaps. It's really fucking good. And then ending off with Cuddy montage, the echoes. You can't talk about this without talking about Cuddy's echoes. They are so fucking amazing. And then the one thing from my notes I will read, because I did like how I wrote it, is there's a term in writing called the whiff of death. It's all about how every single movie has a low point. I don't know where the low point is in this album, but you feel a comeback up, so it has to have one. And I really like that. I like that you can feel the dip up and down without feeling a rock bottom, without feeling shit, we have hit it, we need to climb. That it's a gradual process back up. So I love this album to pieces. Those are like the thoughts from today's newest listen.
Absolutely, a good set of highlights and lowlights for you, and a great description. Well done. In terms of this album, Kids See Ghosts, I went into this having kind of listened to it at least one time before on a road trip, and expecting this to be some kind of, intense experience of like sound collaborating between someone who is very production heavy and someone who is very lyrically heavy. And when it came time to actually sit down and properly listen to this album, you mentioned clutter on purpose. I have to get rid of the on purpose part from my estimation of this album. This album feels messy. And as you mentioned, there a mark of a very smart production designer, and is when they know where everything is in a messy space, especially if that space is a head space. But in terms of Kids See Ghosts, I think that the ride is absolutely there. You have the rising action and the moments up at like its peaks and valleys, like the transition in oh gosh, I need to pull up the album on Spotify to get the track list again. If you're looking at the track, like the transition in Feel the Love is a strong, hard driving transition, and it leans heavily into Kanye's production. Like the way that the music is put together is spot on. It's seamless, but it's also like, sometimes it's a bit much for what I'm anticipating the next thing to sound like. The low point of this album for me was Free, Ghost Town Part 2, because it feels like it's on an album that doesn't necessarily fit like it's a donut hole in the middle of the wrong donut. It's a good one, and it's was nominated for the rock category at that year's Grammys for a reason, because it has these notes. This instrumental is so like hard depressing, and it's so like everything is layered on top of itself and layering on top of each other in a way that you hear everything, and that can be a bit much. But it is a bit much. It's supposed to be a bit much. I mean, you know, it draws on this whole realm of this whole year that had happened when this album came out in 2018 was a time of great experimentation and great like trial, I'll say, for at least one half of the duo. Kanye put out so many different projects with so many different artists, as previously mentioned. But, you know, Kids See Ghosts comes in the middle of that run, and a lot of people say that it is the peak of that run, including the man himself, Anthony Fantano, in the review that he makes, and including you. I don't see it that way. I feel like this is good collaboration between two good artists that are not necessarily for me. I've never been like one to disparage rap music, but I've also never been the biggest fan of it. Like, and the experimental vibe of this is phenomenal. I love experimental, but at the same time, coming right down to where it is, Kids See Ghosts isn't the best, like, pure experimental rap project I've listened to. It's a damn good one, and I'm not going to pretend that it isn't one simply because of who made it or what it is. But it's not the best one, which is kind of spoiling my ending a little bit.
Is that steak?
This is a ham steak.
You, I can't. It's very James Bond villain. Waving the fork. It's not the best.
So, with that said, with that in mind, we move on swiftly to Anthony Fantano's review of Kids See Ghosts. And this review came out like very shortly after the album itself came out in 2018. As Fantano almost always keeps so punctually to his schedule of release, review. He's pretty tight about that. In his review, he talks a lot about the context surrounding Kids See Ghosts and the journey that the artists within it were on before this point. And I wanted to touch on Kanye and Kid Cudi being an artistic duo in this. As far as I can tell, this is one of the only times they've released music together. Like, they work together. They make music. Like, Kanye produced Kid Cudi's music, some of Kid Cudi's music, because they were part of the same label. But this project is the first and one of the only times that they made music with each other together to release it as a duo together. And I wanted to know if there were any other, like, any vibes you got from that, any other past experience you had with both with Kanye and Kid Cudi working together.
So I'll be totally honest, I'm also not that big of a rap head. I'm not. I didn't know who Kid Cudi was before this album. That's how kind of out of the rap loop I am. That being said, I have now gone back and I've listened to Kid Cudi. I do like some of his shit. Also, I guess for full transparency, I like this and I like Yay by Kanye, and that's about all the Kanye I enjoy.
Well, it's fitting that
I like his weird shit. Yeah. I like his weird shit.
Yay is brought up extensively in Fantano's review.
Yes.
Now, I myself listened to Yay for the first time before this episode today. and I have my thoughts on it, but I'm going to save it for past, present, future.
Okay.
Dono, your previous experience with rap music or the like, and how Fantano talking about it like resonated with like his thoughts on this album alongside yours. You're muted, Dono. Oop.
I don't know. Fuck, man. I watched it in like 1x5 review. And realized
I
that
also did.
And I realized that 1.5 review, this man talks really fucking slowly because it sounded like he was talking normally. That's what I noticed. I was like, so with ADHD, I'm like, God, man, you should talk faster.
I feel bad if someone's like, I can't wait to listen to the Dapper D's on 1.5 times because we probably are fucking chipmunks with how quick the three of us talk.
Oh, yeah. I have, trust me, there have been a couple of times where I have gone back into an episode to make sure that I didn't miss anything or looking up a piece of information for a future episode, and I put it in 1.5 times, and holy shit, is it like, it's quick. It's quick.
Yeah, it's rough.
Well, personally, I am something of a recreational fan of Anthony Fantano's review style. But he has a very specific taste. He talks about he primarily reviews R&B, heavy metal, and everything that kind of lingers under that umbrella of space. He does a little bit of folk and a little bit of country when it's like country that is brought into that space, you know, like that metal, that rock, that like R&B space. And this review of Kids See Ghosts is no different. He loves talking about the production on it, which is still phenomenal. Like, the production on Kids See Ghosts is really, really tight. It's really, really...
Absolutely.
It's some of Kanye's, like, it's just a nice class in how Kanye produces music. And if you had something to add to that.
Yeah. I felt like the vibes were very, like, I haven't listened to a lot of Kanye's material, but it all kind of ends up like, okay, like this was definitely produced by Kanye, the way that he like makes his shit, which is like, it's good. I'm not a huge fan of, like, if I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fan of like Kanye's rapping, but it's like whatever. I like the way that he produces music, and I think that like it's phenomenal. And the artists that he chooses to be able to work with, and the way that he can work with those different voices, awesome, fantastic. I think he's a fantastic producer. Everything else, cool.
It's definitely no different on this album either, as we see guest appearances from several other like pretty prominent rap artists as like features on these tracks. You have Pusha T, Ty Dolla $ign, Yasin Bey, aka Mos Def, like 3 other phenomenal rappers of our generation, and Pusha T actually ties into one of the other albums that was a part of this project, that was a part of this stretch of projects that Kanye put out, and we'll move into that context now, talking about past, present, future. So in the very recent past, before Kids See Ghosts came out, Kanye was doing well, but he wasn't doing as well as like his early years. Like, you talk about Kanye eras when he did like Graduation and his other like mid 2000s, early 2010s work, and he was on top of it, man. He was weird. He was always weird, but he was on top of it, and he had his style and his sound. And then that, bless you, and then that died down a little bit in like the mid 2010s, you know, like he was doing different stuff. Life of Pablo came out, and he and Kid Cudi actually had a schism in their relationship. It was pretty rocky during that time. But then in 2018, Kanye starts producing / creating music in this stretch of time where Kids See Ghosts falls into the middle of, starting with Pusha T's Daytona. He was the primary driver's seat producer for Daytona. Now, I have not listened to Daytona. I started listening to it, and then I realized that's a bit too much for this specific review, this specific test. But it continued on that journey with his self-published album, Yay, when he started to go by Yay around that point as well. And at that point, he puts out this album, and the similarity between Pusha T Daytona, Yay, and Kids See Ghosts, as well as another project that he put out after Kids See Ghosts with a female artist. I forget her name and I forget the name of the album. But the similarity between all of them is they are all short licks. They're all less than 25 minutes, and the first 3 of those at least are all 7 tracks, splitting up those 25 minutes. At which point we enter into present. At the time that Kids See Ghosts comes out, Yay also comes out. And myself and Dadley have listened to Yay. Dono, I don't know if you have. So, Dadley, you just mentioned earlier on in this episode, Yay is your other favorite Kanye project. How does Yay and Kids See Ghosts feel similar? How do they feel different in your estimations?
So I've talked about this on TikTok, that there should be a term for shitty art. I don't mean shitty like, look at that, that's a piece of shit. I mean shitty in the sense of like, you can be moved by like a hand drawing of a fish. You know what I mean? Like that's the vibe of these 2 albums.
It's called naive art.
Naive.
There is a term that differentiates between naive and its counterpoint, which I do not remember the name of. But it's basically classical versus naive. Touches on the point of there are masters of their craft who know exactly how everything within their craft works, and the reason their art is so good to look at is because they have nailed the craft of their art, that they are the best painter in the world, and this is the best painting in the world, and this is why. Versus naive art, which is someone who understands the mechanics, someone who knows how to make something perfect, and then just for the sake of doing it, bends those rules and puts something out that's not perfect, but people enjoy it as such because it is intentionally different from the standard or the mean. And I think that's what you're trying to refer to here.
I was going to say, that sounds like a perfect description of how I feel about these 2 albums side by side. That Kanye, there's no getting around it. As a music producer understands his shit to a T. He understands his craft, which means it's very easy to break the rules and try something weird and different, whether it's in his lyrics or his production, his instrument, his samples. There's no getting around it. It's fucking really weird. You haven't seen it since the 80s to be like, hey, let's sample these like famous rock song guitar riffs to make a beat. That would like, you haven't seen it in a long time.
Such as the one taken from Nirvana on the track in the album. I don't know if it was Cuddy Montage?
Yes, Cuddy Montage. Yeah. That being said, Yay is much more of like, how do I word it? A self-reflection of the weirdness.
Yeah.
Kids See Ghosts feels like, I want to make a weird album because weird is cool. Yay sounds like, I want to make a weird album because I'm fucking weird. Like,
I want to make a weird album because I know I'm weird. Yeah.
Yes.
And he talks about it a lot over the course of the album.
Absolutely.
In a review that I watched for further context, where Fantano talks about Yay and scores it an 8 out of 10 on his scale, he notes that it is like a really well done self-reflection on the current state of his life circa 2018. And in 2018, that's exactly what the problem was. He was in a different state of mind. He had these long tirades about things that were happening in the world, and he eventually got to the point where he had to make something that talked about his mental health, that talked about, because like it had been part of his career for his entire life. It had been part of his life throughout his career that he was bipolar, that he had to take meds, that he had to tap into this extreme imbalance between God complex and inferiority complex to make the art that he makes. And people just put up with it. And then Ye and Kids See Ghosts come out, and we see the pinnacle of that self-reflection and where he came from being put to track, being put to purpose in these two albums.
Yeah. I couldn't say it better myself. Like, this is, look, a little peek behind the curtain. Me and Dippy have talked about making this a real show, and I think the issue of me and you making it a real show is what's going to happen is you're going to say something, you're going to be like, right, and then I'll say something, and you'll be like, right, and then that's the episode.
Well, we agree with us agreeing with each other, like, on certain things, you know.
Yeah.
Different perspectives will be important in an actual run of something like this, and I can tell that the difference in perspective between me and you in this case specifically, this is one of your favorite albums. I'm at a point of where listening to this album that I don't really see it as influential as people put it up to be. It's a good collaboration between two very good artists, but it's not. I personally think that Ye is better than Kids See Ghosts in the context that it is given, in the environment that it's presented in. I see Ye as better because Ye doesn't have anyone around him like contributing to a vision of self-reflection when self-reflection has to come from yourself. You can't have people talking to you about how you are you and have it be self-reflection. That's just critique. That's just people telling you how you are, whether you want to be told that or not. And the themes, Fantano mentions themes coming from Ye to Kids See Ghosts. I don't see it. To ask you a question to involve you, do you?
Yeah. I mean, I see it in the production. I see it in, they're both using instruments in ways that hip-hop normally doesn't. They're both using, I mean, they're time signatures. In general, the time signature of Kids See Ghosts and Ye are offbeat. They're the kind of beats that you hear and you're like, I don't fully know how to move to this at the moment. It takes you a couple listens to be like, oh, there's the rhythm to it. There's where I'm going. Like,
right.
And you see that in both albums, at least to me, very clearly. Very clearly, it seems like they were kind of sat back and said, all right, we can make the song this way. And then what do we do that's a curveball? What do we do that's different?
That curveball is more prominent to me in Ye than it is in Kids See Ghosts.
The curveball in Ye, when it comes to lyrics, is more prominent. The curveball in production is more prominent in Kids See Ghosts for me.
Okay. I see that. Yeah.
Because there's no getting right. Like, Ye starts with, I thought of killing you today.
Which
there's no getting around
the name of the track. The first track on Ye is I Thought of Killing You.
Yep.
And the perspective of I Thought of Killing You being one half of his bipolar talking to the other half of his bipolar, like, at least that's what it felt like to me, is a fun step. It's like...
I so did not read that song as that in the slightest.
Really? How did you...
Yeah. Like, intrusive thoughts about somebody he cares about. Like, I care about me more than I care about you.
Mm-hmm.
I only hear one me. It's not it's not like a me versus the other me. It's a me versus, like, intrusive thoughts, the people around me. Like...
I hear that... Okay. Interesting perspective. I hear the you in the song is the same person, but the me in the song is the part of the person that is not that is under a different umbrella of the thing that is affecting them, which in Kanye's case would be his bipolar disorder. Yay. Like
it's Y-E.
It's Y-E, like his last name. Or his last name? No, the last part of his first name.
Yeah. So all that being said, I do see the similarities between the albums. I personally like Kids See Ghosts more as an album. Besides Yikes, I think Yikes as a song is better than anything on Kids See Ghosts, if I'm being honest.
I really vibed with Yikes as a track.
Yikes is so good.
Like, yeah. I also personally really liked, I also personally really enjoyed the track on Yay that I liked significantly more than oh my god, there's so many non-album like single releases here. Oh my god, stop. Okay, here we go. Wouldn't Leave is a great message song that he rewrote and recreated after events that took place at the time, where Kanye came out and in like MAGA gear and like people gave him backlash for it. He rewrote Wouldn't Leave to, at the time, basically praise the fact that his wife didn't leave him after that happened. Like, and praising women who tough through hard times in a relationship. And I really liked that song. It doesn't change what happened in the future. After Kids See Ghosts came out, a lot of controversy came Kanye's way, brought upon by himself in a very wildly controversial way, in a very incendiary way that took a lot of people off of Kanye permanently. We don't have to get too deep into that controversy here because it's been done to death. But speaking as someone who wasn't a fan of Kanye before, during, or after that controversy happened, like personally, I never really was a Kanye listener before Kanye did what he did. Looking at the position that he's in now, I understand why so many people still don't listen to him. But his most recent projects have been like talked about in a way that makes it feel like, oh, he's still really fucking good at making this music. Am I right? Am I wrong? Like, I haven't listened to too much.
I have not listened. Let's see, when was his last album dropped?
Vultures 2.
2024. Yeah, I have not listened to it.
He brought out Vultures 2 this year.
Have not checked it out. And I'll be honest, actually, I haven't seen anybody talking about it. I genuinely.
Yeah, I don't know.
To think.
It's one of those ones that I'm like, after all of the controversy that happened, after everything that has happened in Kanye's life, the point that he's at now, Fantano himself, and this is a rare exception in like review cases, in aggregator cases, Fantano himself came out with a video talking about whether or not Kids See Ghosts and another album he gave a 10, but the controversy befell the artist of that album as well. Like, do they still deserve to be 10s in his library? And he didn't answer the question by the end of the video. He said he didn't care. He talked about what happened, and then he said he didn't care. So that's, bless you. So that's definitely like, it's rare that an artist would follow up on a review that a reviewer would follow up on a review in such a way. So to get it back to a more general place to finish out the future section, I wondered what you guys thought about separate art from artist. Like, your general thoughts on that vibe, on that concept, you know, because it's very prevalent, and I'm very much on the side of art stands alone, and the artist that made it also stands alone. in their actions, in their thoughts, in their words, but the things they create are a result of their thoughts and their words at a time when they were a different person than they are currently.
Yes.
And if you two wanted to expound on that while I went and got something else to drink, that would be perfect. Oh,
Oh, you want to go, Donna?
What? Oh, sorry.
yes.
I was going to say, if you want to chime in, by all means.
I don't know what we were just talking about. I just listened to the first track of I Hate Being Bipolar.
Oh, yay.
I guess yay.
Okay, so
separating art from artist. I'm gonna go get something else for you.
Yeah, so where I sit with this, and I've said this for a long time now, is my memories aren't going to change. I'm not going to unforget the album coming out, hanging out with my friends, smoking in their garage, and being like, holy shit, I love this fucking album. I'm not going to forget the nights that I sat banging my head against my desk because I'm like, I want to be an author, and listening to the song on repeat because it made me feel creative. It made me physically feel like I could do shit. I've said it before. Feel the Love makes me feel like I could run through a fucking wall. And then Free makes me feel like I could rebuild that wall in one night. Like, those memories aren't going anywhere. So as much as, like, I could sit and say, I feel bad for Kanye. I'm going to stress. I feel bad for Kanye. He is mentally unwell. And I think a lot of what happened, if you boil it down, you want to be mad at somebody with Tourette's for saying this shit.
Yeah.
Mental illness is mental illness, and that's its own much, much bigger discussion.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, like, I don't have to like Kanye to sit back and say, fuck, that was a really good time. I loved when that album came out. And to listen to that album and go back to that little place in my brain, that place isn't going anywhere. That's my place. That's my memory.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I get, like, that's why I say, like, I get to steal these albums. These albums are mine when I listen to them. Like,
yeah.
When art is released, it no longer becomes the artist's art. It becomes the art of the, not like who listens to it. It connects to memories. It connects to feelings, emotions. People interpret it into their own mindset and such like that. I just listened to the first track of Yay. I can see where Dippy got the conversation with himself and the, like, two different parts of the bipolar disorder, which bipolar is not multi-personality disorder. It's not very different, but
it is.
You extinct.
Yeah.
Which I just wanted to make that clear. That's not the whole thing. But there are the extremes. I have a brother who has bipolar, and growing up with that, I am extremely close with him. He is also my tattoo artist now.
And we will talk about that more after a short break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more after this.
God damn it!
I'm sorry, okay?
I was
And welcome back. So, our other guest friend shall be here shortly, but to continue along these lines of what has happened since Kids See Ghosts came out, and how does that relate back to Kids See Ghosts' legacy? Dono, talking a little bit more about art from artists. You were talking before the break.
When you get to know somebody that has like the bipolar disorder, and like I didn't know Kanye had bipolar. Nobody talks about that.
It was one of the most. And, like, it was one of the most famous parts of his personality before and during his time making music.
But like my whole thing when I got to know about like Kanye, it was always just like, oh, who's this fucking person that's going through all this crazy shit, whatever. But if somebody were to just be like, oh yeah, he's got bipolar disorder, like hella bad, I would just be like, yes, yeah, he's going through it right now. And like every little thing that I ever heard about him, I was just like, dude, why the fuck are these people like, he is obviously in need of mental health, and everybody's just like, fuck, like just giving the absolute amount of hate to this person. It's just like, dude, he needs help. Like he needs to fucking, like, yeah, he's speaking things or whatever, but he's obviously like trying to live in this high of his life, probably because he feels like he's in such a goddamn low, and he's trying, like, if there's something that happens within, like, at least within my brother, I've noticed it, I love him to death, is that he wants to make this connection. And I'm just like seeing the way and the actions and everything like that. Yeah, it seems like Kanye was trying to make a connection, but with bipolar people, the connection has to be extreme. And me and my brother were very good, like, being that I grew up with him. He is my older brother. He is the one that, like, my parents had this weird thing. We had 6 kids, half were the oldest and half were the youngest, and each one of the youngest got matched with an oldest and learned like how to do the house chores, everything. My brother was the one that taught me how to do like the home chores and what to do and everything, yeah, like that. And I built a connection with him, and so I learned how, and me as a person, I learned how to like I feel like I do a very good job of balancing people. When they start going off a little too much to the deep end, you balance, and you're just like, hey, let's bring it back. Let's come back over here. I'll meet you right here in the middle. Like I can. That's like, you may feel like you're in this crazy mindset and everything like that, but I'm seeing you do this. There's a lot of times where I've seen like celebrities go through this portion of where they're just getting absolute fucking hate. But then you look at their life and the things that they're going through, and it's like, yeah, like if I felt like I was stuck and there was no hope or anything like that, and I felt like the only thing I could do was just try and draw attention to myself, I get it. Like, we shouldn't be like, not to justify any of his actions or anything like that, but I think that there a lot of people did the wrong shit for the situation, because there's a lot of things that he was acting upon that had a lot of emotion to it to a lot of different people. And like, there's like, I don't know, like, part of me is just like, am I defending this individual? I feel like
it's
a
not
lot
so much
of the...
it's not so much defense in like a perspective of the individual. It's defense in perspective of, this is a damaged individual.
Yeah.
And are people treating this damaged person too much like someone who isn't?
They,
like,
to be honest, people started taking him way too seriously.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
That's the
another big
shitty
part of
thing
this.
to say, is that like they took it way too seriously to the point where it's like, hey, he's getting your goat. Like, he's getting what he wants. He wants to have that high reaction because he's in that high reaction state. The one thing that you should have done is just been like, whatever, dude.
For some reason, you say that, and it makes me think of that clip when he was talking on a radio show that he was talking about Polaroid and how Beyonce is one of the creative directors for Polaroid. I like some of the Beyonce songs. What the fuck does she know about cameras?
Like, it's Lady Gaga, not
Lady
Beyonce.
Gaga, sorry. But that's a moment that's like, you know, Kanye is a very vocal individual. Like, he spoke his mind a lot throughout his life and career.
Yes.
And just to bring it to, like, does future actions past the release of a work affect whether or not that work is perfect? It's a great question to tackle in this case specifically, because of how controversial a figure Kanye is. Because of what happened, does this album lose points? Quote unquote.
Can we let's look at like artists from like 18th century. Do you know how many of those motherfuckers have done terrible shit?
Oh yeah,
undoubtedly, yeah.
But
you still see the Sistine Chapel. You still see or fucking whatever. I don't know. Like, you still see all these amazing pieces of art, and we don't know everything. God knows that back then was like, it was a different time. Things were different. Things that were accepted then are not accepted now. But like, we acknowledge that the art is something that was given, and I feel something, and within these pieces of art, these albums and stuff like that, it is, at least from what I've heard, because I am not, like, I haven't really listened to a lot of Kanye, but after listening to just this little bit of him and really kind of like taking the moment to listen, I'm realizing it's just a person trying to like express a feeling, express an emotion to the purest that he can in the form of art that he can. And it's nothing more than looking at the Mona Lisa and realizing that this is something that cannot be replicated, and it's beautiful. And fucking, even if Leonardo da Vinci didn't make the Mona Lisa and somebody else did, it'd still be a beautiful piece of art to this day.
Absolutely.
Mona Lisa's overrated.
Mona Lisa, not perfect.
Have you seen the price tag on that lady? I don't think anybody's worth that.
Well, how much is the Mona Lisa insured for? It's insured by the country of France for more than like $950 billion. Like if someone were to take it, steal it, or destroy it, the country of France would have to be reimbursed $950 billion by the pursuant, by whoever.
860 million.
860 million, okay. Yeah, so still the most expensive singular piece of art in the world, but at the same time,
art is art, and people can be like, "Oh, but you do know what that person did." It's like, no, it's fucking like it was a piece of something that they put their heart into and created, and you can tell the difference between bullshit art and good art, and people that like put their fucking emotion
bad
into
actors.
it. And there's a difference between, oh, you felt something doing that, and you just fucking did that because you did that for money. Which I myself will admit that there are moments where like I've been like a DM and I'm just here and I'm just like here and I try and put that emotional thing, but every once in a while there comes to moments where it's like you guys where I feel like I put an emotion into a character that I have felt and give it to you and you guys receive it, and there is connection that is made there, and that connection can never be told, hey, that wasn't there. You can't deny the beauty of that, and art is a connecting piece, and art like separated from the actions of the artist, I don't fucking think it really matters.
So in terms,
it sucks that they still make money off of it, but you know, fuck it.
See, that's where
the thing.
I was. That's where I was about to go to. Is there is that line of profit? There is that line of, hey, you like I've preached. Your memories can't be taken, but do you want to help profit that person? So in that regard, I am known to, hey, I really like this music, or this book, or this movie, but I don't want that person getting a dime. So become a pirate.
Oh no!
You remember the commercials from the early 2000s? Yeah, that music was pirated.
Yeah, it fucking was. You wouldn't steal a car, but we stole the soundtrack for this commercial. Yeah, that was pirated music.
I can't even believe that. That's fucking okay. Maybe maybe we shouldn't make so blatant of a claim to piracy on the internet. We shouldn't make so blatant.
I didn't say anything about piracy. I said pilotsy.
Pilotsy.
Yeah.
I said to become a pirate. You know.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
Get a ship, get a bottle of rum, get a pirate's hat, get a captain's hat.
I'm just saying LimeWire still exists.
Does it really? No,
yes.
LimeWire was the one that shut down due to that like $950 something million lawsuit or whatever it was. It was like they were owed like billions of dollars. The RIAA was like, hey, you need to pay, you and your users need to pay us billions of dollars in damage or we're shutting you down. Was that LimeWire or was that one of the other ones?
That was LimeWire. And then you can still use it.
And then
you can still use it.
Yeah. They paid their dues.
They never left. You can say, I will say right off the back, the Wayback Machine is phenomenal with this shit. If people who don't know what the Wayback Machine is, it's just a website that lets you go to web browsers that no longer exist. And you know what? I'll end the conversation there before we get in trouble.
Yeah. So, in terms of Kids See Ghosts, we now come to the part of our show where we test its perfection. Yep. Is Kids See Ghosts perfect? Yes or no? From all three of us. Dono?
Start with me. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know what perfection is. I'm not the type of person that... No, shut the fuck up, Dippy.
Oh my
let me speak.
Wow.
I am not... Sorry. let me have a rant here.
Okay.
Sorry. I am not a person to ask for perfection. I know imperfection, but I also know that there is a connection. For me, I not believe that there is a vibrancy within Kids See Ghost. There is a life within it that is given, and it is a piece of art that should, and I believe has been used in future music. It is something that there are certain times where you can tell that there's some music that is made that more artists are just like, hey, I'm gonna build off that shit. And this is, to be said, a foundation building block for some musicians. And it's something where I was just like, I've heard this before. And it's in newer music. And it's in like stuff that I enjoy. It is a foundational piece of experimentation that solidified itself within the world and should be looked at for artists and things. It is the definition of a emotional connection and a project built between two individuals that morph themselves incredibly well. Is it perfection? I have yet to see perfection. I have yet to know it. But one day, after hearing this more and more, I will feel, but for me, I will agree with Anthony Fantana. It is between the 9 and 10. I cannot say a full 10, but it is close enough that I can round that shit up.
Okay.
So sorry
like it.
for
I like
freaking being like, shut the fuck up.
No, sorry. I was just, yeah.
No.
I was looking for like yes, no, no, or like now tell me why. But
it's
you
not
got
something
it all in one go.
I don't.
You got it all in
I
one
know.
Go. Yeah, no,
I don't feel like it's something that you can just blatantly say yes, it's a 10, because there's always going to be the argument of just like, oh, but this is like, I get it, but it's the journey that you're taking on. It's short, it's sweet, it's beautiful, and it's something that can be used over and over and like sampled from and understood and be like, hey, let's build something kind of like this and work around with this. And fuck, man, it's got some of my favorite like music tropes that I like to this day. Now,
there you go. Deadly.
So.
Fuck no.
Okay.
I love this album. What? Yes.
I will elucidate before we continue down this like path. When I say that when I look at the title of the show, Testing Perfection, this is, it's never, the definition of perfection to some people is, like, perfection is different between people. The vibe of this show is, people have given these pieces of media a perfect score within their world, within their bound purview. Or, in the cases of sites like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb or score aggregators, the people of the world, the movie viewing people in Rotten Tomatoes case, or the game playing public in like something like Metacritic's case, agree that this is perfect because it has aggregated a score of 100 or 10 or whatever it is. So in this case, like, the point of the show is to determine whether or not, within its context, within its bounds, if something deserves to have what is considered a perfect score based on solely on like what it is and what like surrounds it. So Dono did a very good job of interpreting my question before I explained it and putting it in a way that yes, it would deserve to have a 9 or a 10 score. As Fantano in his review puts it, it is a strong 9 to a decent 10, which he gives a little range, but the number displayed on the screen is a 10. So it is considered one of Fantano's 10s, of which there are only, I think, 9? I think there's only 9 albums that he ever gave a 10 in his career of reviewing music. I don't know how many, it's either 9, it might be like it's a small number is the point. And future episodes of Testing Perfection will look at those albums too. I'm absolutely sure. So with that in mind, nothing is ever going to be perfect. But does Kids See Ghost deserve a score near perfect?
I will. All right, just really quick. 8. He has given 8 albums a 10.
8 albums have been given a 10. Okay, there you go.
Yes. I don't think it deserves a perfect score. I don't think it did when it came out. I don't think, and I've been praising this album the whole episode.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it deserves a perfect score. I think it deserves a real strong 9. There are issues with the album. And like, not to mention, it is not the most re-listenable album. It's not. It is an album that has a time and a place. It's not like, you can't show up somewhere and be like, hey, give me the aux cord, and then start playing it and think everyone's going to be fucking pumped that you're playing it.
Yeah.
There are flaws with the album, and that's okay. Most albums aren't a 10. The majority of albums aren't a 10.
Well,
I think it's one of the best 9s ever made, but it's a 9, and that's okay.
So in my purview of answering this question, I don't even think it really deserves a score even close. It's sticking to Fantano's 10 scale. I would give Kids See Ghosts, in my personal view, in my personal like experience of listening to it, it's not the production is really, really good. But the way that the production is put together and the theming of it, like what the whole ends up being, is not even like, it's not that great of a like, how do I want to put it? It's not that great of an homage to what it's trying to be, because it's trying to be a bunch of different things, because it is an experiment. And there are some hits there, but I see more misses in this, in my personal view, than some people do. I would give this a 7 out of 10 on a 10 scale. Like, it's a strong 7, and the production is fucking great. Like, the production is really, really good. But my personal view of it, it's more of a 7 than it is a 9 or a 10. I would even go so far as to say that, like, I would keep Yay at an 8 and say that it's better than Kids See Ghosts in that way. Like, but Yay is also not perfect. Like, you know, in the same way that Kids See Ghosts definitely isn't. So, final verdict: is Kids See Ghosts worthy of a 10 out of 10? In myself and my guest's view, no. This Kids See Ghosts is not worthy of perfection. And on that,
but we're just 3 white dudes.
We are 3 white dudes who just gave a score below a 10 on an album that is an R&B like experimental masterpiece, and is a large influence on a community that does not have us included in it. So,
well, on that note, actually, and I feel like this will be really good context for people listening. What is our 10s? Do the two of you have an album in mind that is a 10?
In this space, in this boundary, I will keep it to R&B experimental. And I will go ahead and spoil the result of an episode we could do in the future. Fantano gave another album a 10 in the R&B field, in the world of experimental rap and hip-hop. Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. He gave it a 10.
Yes.
I believe it's a 10. It absolutely, positively is a 10. Like, I believe it is. And we can talk about that more in that episode, but...
yeah.
Because that's another one that Anthony has given a 10 to. But yeah, in the world of R&B, in the world of hip hop, I would give Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly a 10 100% of the time. Dono, for content, is there an R&B, is there a hip hop experience album? I mean, you gave Kids See Ghosts pretty close to a 10, but is there an R&B or hip hop album that you would give a 10?
I'm not like a huge R&B person. I have listened to like Kid Cudi in the past, and like Mac Miller is what, like, I like that kind of shit. It's like, absolutely. I like this, like, I like a jazzy hip hop feel is what I really enjoy. It's something that's smooth, but not also, it's like, I like listening to hip hop that I could sit on a porch, drink coffee, and look out at the sunrise and fucking be able to vibe. You know, that's the type of hip hop that I like to listen to.
Yeah.
I was gonna make I was gonna say Taylor Swift's Red album. Fucking
Really?
no, I don't fucking know.
No.
but like looking at it, it's actually got some pretty fucking like. I was like, oh, most of these songs I've actually fucking heard of.
Yeah.
So it's got a 97% liked this album fucking rating on
Wow.
Google.
Oh
So
my
I'm like,
gosh.
shit, I was gonna make a joke, but fuck, it might be.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's
Yeah.
something we can look at in the future, Dadley.
Dippy took my question to curveball. I was just thinking of all time, do you have an album that's a 10? But if we're going experimental hip hop,
Well, again,
iridescent, yeah.
to keep it in the realm of what has been reviewed, to keep it in the purview of what is something like this that we would consider a 10 that this might not be considered a 10.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the genre of experimental hip hop, I'll just say my favorite, and again, maybe not a 10, but I don't think I have a 10 in the genre. I'll just say my favorite within the genre would be Iridescent by Brockhampton.
If it's at the top of your list, then it would be a 10 because it is the top of that list.
I disagree with that statement. I'm okay. I'm okay with my top of the list leaving me wanting more.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
Well, it's not a music genre I listen to on a regular basis. It's
Fair
not a
enough.
music genre that like I love to pieces. Like,
But
don't get me wrong. Like my
Okay, I've
favorite
interrupted
album
you a couple
is
of
a 10.
times.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Iridescence by
No,
Brockhampton.
that's a really interesting point. Is if your number one would also be a 10. No, Iridescent by Brockhampton. Strongly recommend it. Really good experimental hip hop. If you don't know Brockhampton, they're kind of a boy band, but in the hip hop scene, very interesting. Very yeah.
Brockhampton's a very weird one to talk about in that context, but yeah, that's almost exactly what they are.
Yep.
I really like Sum 41.
The fuck?
Underclass Hero was really
Sum 41.
I will. All right, Donald's going down this rabbit hole. My favorite, my only album in my brain that's a 10 out of 10 is Celebration Rock by Japan Droids.
Wow.
Which is a small album that nobody talks about. Apparently, Anthony Fantero has reviewed it and gave it a strong 5. So, fuck.
Yeah, that's something that we can like, and of course, wow. Okay, yeah. The vibe of the stream beats changed a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off now.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the estimation of your presenters before you today, Kids See Ghosts is not a 10, and by the average is maybe a strong 8 to a light 9. And so with that, we bid you adieu. I've been Dippy.
I've been Dadley.
And I'm what am I again? Oh, Donna.
That's the best one you've ever done. That's the best one. And the episode of Testing Perfection would come to a close here. Thank you, and continue to be perfect. Now, in terms of the Dapper D's episode, what did you guys think? Did you like it?
You want to do this live?
Yes, I do.
I fucking hated it, Dippy. No.
Oh my god. No, but like
all right, my honest.
You don't have to be like, you don't have to
Can I
pander
recommend-
to me on my birthday. You don't have to be my friend on my birthday.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
not going to pander to you. I'm going to shoot you straight.
Yeah.
I really like it. I think we all need to go in with the same mindset of like, I came in with like paragraphs of notes. Dono came in with, I listened to it today for the first time. You came in like in the middle ground of that preparation.
Yeah.
I think we all need to be on the same level.
But that's kind of the Dapper D's energy.
That is.
It is. This was a very good combination of the Dapper D's and what this idea
didn't make
would
a
be.
list of 100 things I want to own. Yeah, that is kind of the vibe of us, huh?
It kind of is. One of us is way too invested. The other one is not invested at all, and the middle and one of us always ends up being in the middle. Like
I do. So on the topic of like we're doing music and shit like that, there is a band that I have begun listening to that is, in my opinion, really fucking good, and I want to recommend to you guys to listen to. They're called The Dip.
How about that media pick of the week? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say
the what?
The Dip.
Oh, the Dip. I thought you said the Dick.
I haven't.
No, The Dip.
Recently. What are you talking about?
The Dip.
But The Dip. Yes. They have a song called, or they have an album called Love Direction. They just came out with it I want to say earlier this year. And it's fucking phenomenal. It's very bluesy swing jazz. If you like older music, but they're a newer band, fan-fucking-tastic. And it's a nice little thing to just kind of, it's one of those things where I equivalent it to fucking not put on your head, not or get into your car, go up in the mountains and drive around a little bit and listen to this album. It gives like a smooth feel around the turns.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Not to pivot back, but Dippy, I do really like the episode. I'm curious. Like, I feel like we can't benchmark it as a success or a failure until we do it with another media, like a movie or a TV show or something like that. Like, I'm curious where the different zigs and zags will go with it, but it's something I would love to do again.
I'm glad you think so, Dudley. I appreciate that. And to the audience at home, thank you for watching it.
As for media pick, the Ultimate RPG Quest Keeper.
Ooh.
I found this in a used bookstore. I can't stress how lucky I feel. I found a journal that was unwritten in at a used bookstore.
Wow.
Really?
That's kind of incredible, actually. Huh.
I know.
What is it called again?
I love it. The Ultimate RPG Quest Keeper. A journal to keep your campaign rolling. It's mostly like filling out NPCs and stuff like that, so you don't lose track of names. I am running a one-shot next month. Yes. And I've been using it to help me write my one-shot, and it's been really fucking awesome.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, I'd highly recommend it. Who makes it? By Jeff Aldrich and John Taylor.
Jeff Aldrich and John Taylor.
Why have I heard those names before?
I don't know.
In a dream.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. No.
God damn it, I gotta do the episode again.
And my media pick of the week is going to be a movie that I went and saw yesterday. And subsequently, the book that it is based on. So it's going to be two media picks this week.
Okay.
This is a graphic novel called Here. It is written by Richard McGuire, and it is about one living room in one house progressing through time as you flip pages. So it is the same place in time in every page of the book, but the camera does not move. But everything around the camera changes, and you see how it lives, like what happens in the book. And it's really interesting as a visual novel, as a graphic novel, because it is an experiment in not changing the camera at all and changing everything around it. A movie came out, directed by Robert Zemeckis, starring Tom Hanks and many other good actors, that is based off of this book. And in terms of adapting the book to the screen, it's literally perfect. Hey, see what I did there? It is one of my new favorite movies of all time. Dadley, you have your three favorite movies are what again? Remind me of your categories of your three favorite movies.
The three most important movies.
Three most important movies.
Yes. The movie that made you fall in love with cinema, the movie that no matter the time or budget, you don't think you can make better, and the first movie you saw that you thought you could do better.
Here is my official entry into that second category, because the way that Robert Zemeckis made it and based it on this book, it's exactly how I envisioned I would do it if I did it myself. And he did it better than I ever could. So that movie subsequently has become one of my favorites and fulfills that category for me for time eternal, until like something better comes along, but I don't think anything will. Yeah. And the worst part is the critics gave it a 35%.
Ooh.
I don't fucking understand why. Because it's a perfect adaptation of the book. And if you haven't read the book, some of it won't make sense, because the medium of the book translated to the screen is perfect. But to most other people, it is one review called it a 100-minute screensaver. And I'm looking at that person's profile picture and going, that's the fucking point. That's literally the point. Do you not know how hard it is to do this? Like,
I'll have to check it out.
You will. It's in theaters, and it's a great movie. I highly 100% recommend it.
Cool.
And on that note, oh yeah, we have life advice.
Oh yeah, we do.
Don't share your ideas with your friends. No. Actually, my actual life advice is do share your ideas with your friends, because they'll either you'll either learn who your friends are or you'll have a lot of great feedback. And
yeah. No, that's valid. My life advice is just go listen to some music, man. Just go play an album right now.
Go play.
There's nothing stopping you. You can go do it right now.
Go. Don't even watch the outro. Just go.
Yeah, now. Start playing it.
Oh wait, no, wait. Hold on for Dono's life advice, and then you can go.
My life advice is, if you get the chance, buy land that you have enough of it that you can piss wherever you want. Nobody cares. Listen, it is such a fucking vibe to be able to go outside, piss, and your neighbors can't see you.
And on that note, I've been Dippy.
I've been Dudley.
It's therapeutic, and my name's Dono.
Till next time, your adventure matters.
Stay dapper.
I roll your initiative.